Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Astrology Circle podcast. I'm Samantha Hammer, and I'm joined with James Pipitone.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
Today, we are here to talk about Mars and Saturn. I'm pretty excited. I feel like with this current astro weather we're experiencing, it is only appropriate. What do you think, James?
We have a Mars Mercury conjunction going on, and I think the moon's out of Scorpio by now.
I think I felt it
Yeah,
leave a little bit.
there was some intense periods, so I think this is a perfect time to talk about some of the darker sides or tougher sides to astrology.
Absolutely. It's that's the thing. Mars and Saturn are malefics. That just means like mal. The root mal means bad or dark. I would bring up a list of words that have that as like the prefix of them, but it's just like I always think of maleficent. It's that same mal, malefic. And so what we do get from them, we often hear a lot of the bad, but they are here for a reason. There are lessons to be bestowed upon us from them. And I hope we get to cover, some examples and what that really can look like and such. So, yeah.
So we're going to start with Mars. We're going to talk
Yes.
about the main overview of what Mars is, the significations of it, and then we're going to get into some ways that it affects our lives. After that, we'll discuss Saturn, and then from there, we'll kind of give like a good exchange of what it's like to experience these things and how they differ and what they really mean for our lives on a bigger picture.
Yeah, and like important, like most importantly, like what does it look like in your life so you can know what to expect if you're looking at your chart and you see Saturn is touching another planet, or maybe things are just like maybe you're having your Saturn return and you don't even know it if you're new to astrology. That's a huge deal. But we're going to talk about Mars first. So, Mars action. Give me some good Mars words, James, off
Yeah,
the cuff.
so this is a funny discussion because my sun is conjunct both the malefics, so I feel like I can like start radiating this energy a
This
little
is
bit.
your show,
Yeah.
like really.
But Mars has affected us all in some way. For Mars, it rules Aries and Scorpio. Some key words are, frustration, anger, battling, fighting, exchange of energy and intensity to some component, infections, depending on how it is, or woundings. What are some things you would say?
Yeah, those are all perfect. I always think of just action in itself, the cutting, not always violent, but forceful action. It's very willful. It's passionate though too. There's so many different sides to Mars, but the warrior, for better or for worse, will be um, a great archetype to utilize for anything having to do with Mars. And I always think of the knife when I think of Mars. Obviously, martial arts. My husband's into martial arts, but yeah, not anywhere near as affluent in the Mars language, possibly as you are. But
Well, you definitely got a lot of the good Aries stuff covered.
yeah,
Scorpio, the reason why Scorpions feel misunderstood in a lot of ways is because they can resonate to the feelings cutting so deep because
hmm
it's ruled by Mars. And a lot of them feel this intensity emotionally of undercurrent of wanting that revenge. They're investigative. They're very, it's as though the furious nature of them is deep, cuts deep, but runs rampant, which speaks a lot to that intensity that Mars can bring. There's a lot of long-term planning when it comes to Mars and Scorpio, which adds to that military complex of strategic thinking that, the Mars and Aries sort of brings as well. And depending on where Mars is in your chart, depending what sign, you'll get different types of flavors of that intensity.
absolutely. Yeah, just I like probably one of my favorite things to do in astrology is compare Aries and Scorpio because there's such a fun similarity, obviously, but key differences that are very intense. Like Aries just being so go-getter energy, whereas Scorpio is so calculated and secretive at times and stealthy. whereas Aries is like straight out the gate, head first into the um plunge, if you will. And so yeah, the one thing that I was thinking about too recently, listening to something, one of our past classes, is how Scorpio, like as far as all the water signs go, they all have like something in common, but the Cancer and the Scorpion being like clawed creatures, Scorpio is so wanting control, whereas I feel like Aries is like no control. Like they're willful, but it's not a control that they're after. They're after winning, whereas Scorpio is after control on an emotional deep level that you might not even realize is control as someone else who's encountering the Scorpio. And it's not bad. They're trying to protect you in one way or another at times. It can be malefic, pun intended, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, like in every single way possible. Aries wanting to win and Scorpio not really necessarily caring to win, but like they're able to win just by using you, they let you
Yeah,
win. And
they've
that's
already
part of,
won.
yeah, they've already won way long before you even started thinking about it. Whereas Aries just wants to start like getting you and strangling you or, dominate whatever situation you're in. Scorpio's like, I'm letting you do whatever you want, and that's part of how I'm winning and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Which is in astrology is really important because a lot of the tendencies of the planet comes from a lesson of some point at some point in your life of pain to one
Mhm.
extent or another. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, a Saturnian sign, and Mars in Capricorn is free to do pretty much whatever it wants to do, and it's able to work within the constructive domain of Saturn to just easily just do whatever it wants. Obviously, depending on a lot of the conditions, but funny enough, I did a reading for someone recently with that placement, and what's interesting is that their pain that they experience, which we'll get more into in a little bit, um, with Mars is turning into a beautiful way to help others in a meaningful way, which Scorpio, while it does have its qualities of manipulation and secrecy and able to cause a lot of pain or jealousy, what have you, it's also a really big healing force, which takes a lot of pain to really understand to get to that point to be able to do the healing. And Aries is fantastic leaders. They're able to really be the first ones on the line and proceed forward and move, large packs of people to an ultimate destination. But that takes some, the best leaders are those who have been in the battlefield.
Yeah, no, 1000%. And I think going to the exaltation that Mars has in Capricorn, there's a lot of crossover, both being ruled by the malefic planets, but then having Aries on the flip side, having its exaltation, I'm sorry, the sun having its exaltation in Aries. And then you can kind of see this kind of daytime, nighttime versus energy at play here too. And just like Aries being like the youthful combat warrior, kind of naive, whereas like the Scorpio being like I keep saying calculated, but like very planned out, long term, low level, watching you
Which takes a lot
from
of
afar.
intensity. That's
Yes,
it's not something
exactly.
easy to do, put
Not
all
at
your energy
all.
into that.
And yeah, the healing aspect of Scorpio too, being just so, I mean, it's a fixed water sign. It's deeply almost maternal in nature and not like lunar maternal, but like so much more like more steady than a lunar ruled sign, um, like the Cancer or whatever. But I think it's just very, very deep and intense and like will go to the ends of the earth for you. It'll go as deep as it needs to go
Yeah.
until it's satisfied and fulfilled.
Yeah, with Mars, with that malefic quality, you're not willing to go that far unless you've been hurt or
Yeah.
something has happened to you that you want to get back at them or cause some type of harm back because the motivating factors, Mars is a motivating factor. There's an energy of ambition, it's a flame, it's what causes people to have some type of drive to some extent or another, to keep it simple. And depending on the level of intensity that people have experienced Mars in their lives, will dictate what they're going to be doing with that Martian energy. So, for example, if you have Mars, let's just say in Scorpio, in a day chart, let's just say in the 11th, whatever, what have you, you might have been hurt really intensely by friend groups to some extent, and what you would do given the Scorpionic quality, is seek revenge. Um,
Hmm.
and that feeling is a counteraction to the pain that you're inflicting. Excuse me, a counteract to the pain that was inflicted on you to some point. So
Hmm.
there's lessons that have to be learned. And that ambition is almost this deep-rooted necessity to be able to play out slow, strategic, because it's more like a bleed rather than an immediate anger point. Like if Aries was there,
Yeah.
you might actively go out and, try and cause problems, but you wouldn't be playing the manipulation long game. So, yeah, I really like Mars. Well, I'm a night chart, so
Yeah.
I mean, I like the fact that Mars can give you a sense of urgency. That's pretty much the only sense of urgency I have in my chart. I think is that martial quality. Um, but yeah, when you're able to keep an eye on how it's affecting you and what affected you to then get to those qualities, which we'll touch on a little bit, um, it can really be a good driving force to get things done in whatever fashion Mars is showing in your life.
Absolutely. It's like the igniting of passion or, urgency overall. And that was such a good point of it being like a reflection of infliction in this way. And I think, oh, you also said how Scorpio is the slow bleed, Aries is like the like burn up fast. That was like what you were kind of touching on. I thought that was really nice and very accurate in its nature. And I think I was going to say too the Mars and Saturn are malefics. They're kind of this like bad boy team, if you will, because like Mars gets you going, but then Saturn's going to come in and be like, okay, like let's really look at this and map this out. And what is the structure of this? Like, don't do the Aries thing almost. That's why Saturn has its fall in Aries. And so there's just like this like geometric, you know, cause and signification happening that's just really, really cool with these two.
Yeah, I was just thinking of how Venus is in detriment in Scorpio and
Yes.
fallen in Aries,
Mm-hmm.
which is really interesting because it's like it really speaks to this, like we were just saying, like the symmetry or like the way
Yeah.
things kind of play out. It's
But
really
then
interesting.
Saturn has its exaltation in Libra, which is
Right,
ruled by Venus. So it's
right,
like they all are agreeable, but not to.
right.
It's like, Saturn, I'm sorry, Mars in Capricorn is like, because like Capricorn, maybe I'm gonna bleed into Saturn stuff a little bit here, but we don't need to stick with it. I'm just using this as an example. Like Capricorn is like the nighttime sign of Saturn. And so like what is like Saturn Capricorn like items or like skeletons and like the devil card and the tarot and like all these kind of like goth things. And Mars will speak that language. Like it's the nighttime malefic. It's like, oh hey, Capricorn, I really like your room. Like the room that is Capricorn. Like I could vibe here, but I just think that's like a funny image of like Mars chilling in Capricorn is like the goth warrior
Mm, yeah,
plotter
yeah,
in the basement,
yeah,
maybe. Just like
probably.
lighting a match. It's like for
Yeah.
no reason.
Yeah. I love that a lot, actually. I never thought of it that way, but yeah, that's really well said. It's a good point. I didn't, that's such a great, it's like
The imagery.
prolific. Oh my God. Yeah, I love that so much. That's so perfect.
That's James in his room. I'm
Yeah,
joking.
but no, I mean, not to that extent, but yeah, I mean,
I'm joking. Yeah. I know you have a skull or two in your spooky season collection of decorations.
I actually don't.
Oh, I'm gonna get you
I was
one.
quick sidetrack. I mean, I'm actually terrified of it's Halloween season, so I'm actually terrified of scary movies. Like I can't watch them. I can't. I'm very absorbent of that stuff.
You are so funny. I get that though.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I get that.
So just to dial back a second,
Yeah.
I want to touch on how just like the overview of the malefics from a sense of and specifically about Mars, then we'll touch on Saturn, about how like what exactly is this doing in your life?
Yeah.
It's one thing to just talk about it, but how's Mars actually affecting you in some way or another? So there's different ways to look at it. So one perspective is your birth chart, which is pretty much the energy that you're going to be having for your whole life. And then another way is how Mars would be affecting you externally in the form of transits. So what I want to touch on for a quick sec is how when you look at it on your birth chart and you see where Mars is in a given planet in whatever condition, I think the important thing to remember with the malefics is what I touched on earlier, which is that they are malefic, what you were saying. And there are points in our lives where we have to actively experience these things. It's not like
Hmm.
we're just woken up one day and all of a sudden we're feeling these things in terms of a birth chart, but we are actively living the lives, excuse me, we're actively living the life of that planetary energy. And as time goes on through the transits in the sky and as different activations in our life happen, we start to experience what these malefics are capable of for the story of our life. It's not like these things are just happen to us for no good reason at all. We have to give ourselves some type of purpose. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius rising, so and a lot of Pisces, so maybe this is me. Uh,
This is your
and
Malefics and Pisces
yeah,
talking.
yeah,
I'm
maybe
joking.
a little bit. Like there has to be some type of purpose to anything. Even
Yes.
if you think that there isn't, we can start to really think that there is, and there usually is. So, in the case of Mars, we want to look at ways where Mars is causing us some type of pain to then reflect on how that experience is developing, how it makes us feel, and ultimately, through the development process, be able to utilize that energy for something better, essentially.
Yeah.
Same could be said with Saturn, but with Mars, just give a quick example. In my own life right now, I have Mars in my 12th transiting, and I have Mars in my fourth natally. So right now there's a trine going on between the two water signs. So what's going on behind the scenes is malefic, and it's able to do a really good job on my home, my family, and ultimately my son. Not my son, but me. Uh,
S-U-N.
yes, you man. My son, where is my son?
Who's my son?
No, who's my son? Um, So I'm dealing with mold. I'm dealing with like bullshit bacterial stuff on my skin that came out of nowhere. And it's doing a really good job at kicking my fucking ass. Okay.
And I'm sure you're mentally in a great space
Oh yeah,
because of all
fantastic.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sarcasm. That's obviously that's
Yeah.
clearly sarcasm. Like I'm fucking going crazy behind the scenes. And what's interesting is the malefic quality is doing such a great job because it's in Scorpio.
Hmm.
And what I'm experiencing as a purposeful act is like, what is this trying to teach me? Well, it's trying to teach me to take things slower because it's opposite my Venus also, to
Oh
really
yeah.
work through things, deal with the healing process on its own, not rush into things right away. It's Scorpio, so the slow game, slow methodical game. And I noticed that through those lessons, obviously I have to deal with the malefic qualities of it, but I'm learning through the pain in the ass of Mars that I have to take things a little bit slower if I want to get what I want, which kind of a weird way to look at it, but when you're evaluating it and trying to actually do something with this stuff, you kind of
Yeah.
have to start playing some games. So yeah.
No, that's beautifully said and like an astro great example in real life. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I liked where you were going though with like what are the lessons of Mars essentially, and then we'll do the same with Saturn. But so the lessons are, they can look like strife. You can't always be cozy and in a good spot if you want to grow in any way, shape, or form. And that's what I think lessons Saturn and Mars bestow in very different ways. Patience being more of the Saturn virtue. However, like it is imperative that we all know how to fight, and how Mars shows up in your chart is going to show you what you're gifted with, maybe natally. Like I have Mars and Gemini. I can speak fighting words, but it's not necessary to do that all the time. Like you have to experience Mars through transits and hitting different things in the chart to like kind of learn how to fight for yourself and for others and stand up and have confidence in that and to know um you can overcome much, but you have to stand up. And so I think that ultimately is my favorite thing about Mars is the overall lessons, even though it can be gruesome, it can be bloody, it can be lots of anger. And I just got out of a Mars ruled perfection year last year. It was brutal, but I am so different. And I take no bullshit more than ever, probably in this point in my life because of it, because it transited my 12th and it was retrograde in my 12th and first for like 9 months. It was wild. It was so much fun. But, you know,
Yeah, that was honestly stunning. I really loved what you just said.
oh,
Love
thank
it.
you.
Like that was so beautiful what we just said.
I was
I love
speaking
that
to
for you.
you
No,
basically because
well,
I'm
I
just
mean
kidding.
that was really like so
Thank
perfectly
you.
said. It's like you really need the qualities. I mean, the simple things like you go to the gym, you have to have intense
Yes.
workouts if you want to build muscle, like super simple.
Put that to
Um,
life. It's the
that's
same
life.
principle. It's the
Right.
same principle.
Exactly. In every single area possible. You need these things
Mhm.
to build character, determine who you are, shape you into really your life.
Can you live life in your bed, like cozy under a blanket? No.
You could, but you might be miserable doing it,
You'll be
right?
miserable after a
You're
point. That'll feel like hell after a point. Yeah.
exactly. So while you have to sort of think about these things in such a grander sense, it's that, yeah, it's really shitty what you're dealing with martially, right? You know, this pain and suffering to some extent, depending on how
Mhm.
bad it is. But it's for good reason when you look back and you see how it actually motivated you or pushed you to do something, 5, 10 years down the line, whatever it might be, that you can look back and say, oh, because of that, now I do this. Without that, I wouldn't have been able to do this, which alleviates some of the malefic or doom gloom feelings. It's kind of like no pain, no gain, essentially, but a game
Yes,
of
yes.
life, really.
Exactly, exactly. And things are going to happen in life. I think that's kind of ultimately why astrology is so like beloved and has been throughout time because like it gives a timing when you know how to read transits and stuff. You can kind of see that the old ancient art of when good times are coming and when bad times are coming via the malefics and benefics and their transits onto your natal planets and such. But yeah, no pain, no gain. And like, oh, I shouldn't schedule a vacation at this point in my life, next year, when I'm having blah 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 transiting, blah blah blah. And yeah, it's very useful and ultimately you know, yeah, no one gets to like be excused from the pain of Mars at any point in life in some regards. So
Oh yeah, I mean, for the most part, you're
may as
gonna
well have to
be.
learn to utilize it.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the game of life is like you're
Yeah.
gonna have hard times. You can't,
Yeah.
there's no way you can live a life without some relative form of struggle, whatever it might be, to some
Yeah.
capacity. And
Exactly. And
like,
honestly, natal Mars will show you where that might happen more naturally, constantly, wouldn't you say? So like your natal Mars is in the fourth. I have it in the 11th. Like depending on where anyone has it, like those are going to be some hot spots to look out for. So if you see Mars in Aquarius in the fifth, you know, that means something of a hot spot and you can like look to what all those things mean and kind of make your best delineation.
yeah, from there you can pretty much look at where it is in your chart, how it's affecting you in like a very, even the most simplest of terms, like
Hmm.
just like fourth house, family, fifth house,
Hmm.
creatively, sexually, sixth house, work, health, what have you.
Hmm.
And you could, even with that archetypal simplicity, you can start to be like, oh yeah, this happened at this time, and oh, that happened
Yes.
there. Then as time goes on, you could start to see how this is affecting you to some component. So I think it'd be fun if you want to just like go through the houses briefly, just like a quick
Yeah,
little thing. Do you want to start with the first?
sure. So like
Okay, cool.
Mars, like you might have like Mars in the first, whatever sign. You might be more like visibly like when you get frustrated, you might be very visibly frustrated. Or you might be like super into working out and be very muscular, depending on the sign. But yeah, these people are going to be like more athletic in their look potentially.
That's a good one. And just to touch on what we were discussing is like just so people can start. We're not gonna do this for each one, but try and think of if this is your placement, try and think of ways in which why is it that you do those things and try and go down that rabbit hole of figuring out like, oh, I am really built. Mars is my first. I'm really built and I work out a lot because I'm often angry at things. Why am I
Mm-hmm.
angry at things? Like, why am I putting
Uh-huh.
that intensity out there? Like, what
Absolutely. Good
about is
advice,
causing me to
James.
do that?
Yeah.
Start questioning and asking yourself, like, where did that come from? And we can start
Oh,
to understand like the bigger picture for how this affects you.
you have to add that on. I'm like already like, oh my God, having some self-realization here.
Uh,
Okay, yeah. In a good way. But I'm like, oh wow. Just hit.
so
But
Mars
yeah,
in the
great advice.
second. Yeah. If you have Mars in the second, basic thing is, burn up resources to some capacity. You have a tendency to run through money or anything that you add to your life just seems to vanish to some capacity. There's an intensity around what you want for yourself, and you either spend it or there could be intensity to hold on to it. Hoarders with the Mars in the second, you have a
Yeah.
tendency just to grab onto things and try and control it all, like what you were saying, Scorpio. So there's a real focus on an intensity around things that provide to you, and that most definitely would be financial or, what adds to your life.
You might be like an impulsive spender or like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the easiest one to think is like you burn up resources to some
Yeah.
capacity. Um, yeah, definitely. Third
Totally.
house.
Third house would be like if you have Mars in the third, you might be a dancer. You might do a lot of moving around in your like neighborhood. Um, you might you might work out a lot, but it would be more of a like movement based thing, not so much like a lifting heavy iron weights and stuff like that. Maybe you like fight with your siblings a lot. What do you think?
I love the dancing one. That was great. I like
Thanks.
that. I love that. I love that one because it's such a nuanced thing that
Yeah,
most people wouldn't think of right away. So kudos on that one. That was good.
thanks.
What Sam is like, what that is essentially there's an intensity for the third house to shift and move and dance,
Yeah.
dance around. That is working in a fluid motion, maybe not fluid, but moving in a motion.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's a really good one. I like
Thank
how you said
you.
that.
Thank you
Fourth
so much.
house,
Fourth house. Yeah, tell
you,
us native.
yeah, foundationally, there's a level of intensity that is, I mean, not turning into a therapy session. It's
I
just
know.
to keep it simple, like family dynamics, there's going to be a lot of intensity in your life. There's going to be, some form of anger or intensity, really is the best way I would describe it, in your home life that affected you into some capacity foundationally. This could be like your general family that you grew up in. This could be you as a person due to external circumstances. You can even have like a really nice family, like really soft family, but internally your correlation to that is anger and frustration. So it really depends on the chart. But yeah, keep it
Absolutely. I was
simple.
gonna say too, just kind of maybe like generational ancestor frustration. Even if your family life is great, there might just be where your parents came from may have been, more of a martial nature
Yeah,
and
that took
such.
me a little bit to understand, because the interesting when I looked into it, I mean, you're a specialist at this stuff.
Yeah,
If
kind of,
people don't
yeah.
know, Sam is like has like a little thing with uh,
Astrology, family trees.
yes. And when I started looking back to
Link
it,
below. No, I'm joking.
yeah, I seen that there is a lineage of anger for
Oh
me.
yeah.
So yeah, this great job on
Oh
that.
man, I'm
So,
gonna ask a million questions that I'll stop. I'll ask you after.
okay, sounds
But
good.
do either of your parents have Mars Saturn conjunctions?
So. my dad has a Mars Sun conjunction. Oh, both of my parents have Mars Sun, and then Saturn is in Taurus, square. I'm pretty sure square because they have it in Leo. So right, fixed. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
interesting.
they
All
have
right.
Mars with the Sun and square Saturn. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk later. That's
All
really
right.
interesting. That's really cool. Mars in the fifth, though, sexy time might be something that is either, I wouldn't say frustration. I mean, I guess it can be, but like frustration and like the depending on the sign, like a pent up. But I don't know. I'm getting all like weirded out talking sex stuff, but it's what it is. Mars in the fifth can be sexy, and it can be very like fiery and creative and fun, and just like love to have a good time and indulge, depending on the sign again. But like Mars in the fifth, I think is ultimately like the badass at having the best time. Tries to, at least.
Yeah, which can be a malefic experience when
Exactly.
you know when you're just like you know jumping around.
Searching for that fix all the time, for
Yes, searching
sure.
the fixes.
Yeah.
You're on point today, Sam. You're on point today. You're
You.
killing it. Mars in the sixth. I mean, this is where Mars has its joy. So
Yeah,
it's
really good
in
at Marsing.
really good at Marsing in the sixth. So there are things like clear health problems, that could be affecting you. The sixth house can also be addictions. So if you have Mars in sixth, there could be some form of addiction to some capacity. It could be overeating. It could be overworking. Overworking is very common with Mars in the sixth. There could just be autoimmune diseases that you just can't seem to resolve because that malefic quality. Um, I mean, yeah, what else would you say about the
I
sixth?
was gonna say you went with it, but inflammation, sixth
Inflammation.
ha your habits creating a disorder of some kind, maybe if you're not careful and on top of it. Um, yeah, Mars in the Six is like my least favorite just because it's like I always worry about like health issues, high blood pressure, things of this nature. Yeah, it has just a lot of like health stuff in my head about it and your daily routine and stuff. If you have this there, maybe you do work out a lot there, not just so much like the first house example we were giving, but there might be like a in its highest form, maybe like a really disciplined routine, maybe stuff like that.
Yeah, which I see a lot of people who work a lot, and I don't want to make it sound like the six is so tough, even though it definitely is one of the toughest that you could have for sure, and I empathize with that.
Yeah.
There's a real correlation with Mars in the sixth to speaking on that inflammation quality of what is the underlying root to your pain and suffering. When you start questioning what ways are you having pent up martial experiences, anger being a simple one, you can start to sort of remediate a little bit what's going on in your system to allow some of the information out. And the thing with that is, there's a lot of practical ways you can actually eliminate some of that inflammation in your body. Some of it is chronic for sure, but basic, simple example, like needing to go to the sauna or doing a lot of
Yeah.
cold plunges, for example, would be
So
something.
happy you brought that up. Yeah. It's literally Mars in the Six is the sauna place. The routine sauna user.
Yeah.
They need to be at least.
Yeah.
This remedy. That's good. Should we
Uh,
go to the seventh?
yeah,
Are we
seventh, yeah.
good? Are we
Mars,
all
yeah.
right? Seventh and or Mars in the seventh is maybe your relationships cause anger, or maybe you cause anger in your relationships. And I always think of this is like someone who maybe thinks of relationships as like a game, like the go-getter energy
Mm,
of Mars. I've seen that a lot just in charts of people that I know. And there's almost like a playfulness, but it can be like a why can't I settle down? It's like, well, either you might be an asshole, but it's also like just kind of like the game of it
yeah.
all
Yeah.
influencing that placement.
Well said.
Thank you.
Mars in the eighth. So
Yes.
this is interesting. So Mars in the eighth is about other people's resources. And what I've noticed is that being around the Mars and the eighth people or doing consultation with them and whatnot, there's an affinity to want what the other person has so much that it becomes a draining experience to some component because what we're saying with Mars is that we're in the eighth, we're wanting what the other person has. And if we look at it in like a debt scenario, if you rack up debt, it's going to feel like a malefic quality where you're just
Yeah.
burning up the resources of others, of what they're able to give to you. So there's definitely a caution with Mars in the eighth to be careful with dark entities or attracting entities externally that could be affecting you negatively, thinking that's a form of help. Because when you have a malefic planet in the eighth, it's this tendency to want something that other people have, and that feeling you crave to some component.
Yeah.
And that's so if you don't get it, there's a wounding that you're then searching for.
Yeah. Oh, well said. That's a perfect explanation of that. I love that.
Yeah, I
I don't think I have anything to add.
think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll leave the
That was
dark
really
energies
good.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on. Mars in the ninth. Here you might have the anti, like the a rebel type of personality in regards to like school, learning, religion, sort of energy of, or like maybe the entrepreneur of like something new and different in regards to like your life philosophy. Um, or you just might want things to be different, or you might leave, you might cut it down, you might burn it to the ground. What do you think?
Traveling away might
Oh
feel
yeah.
like a intense experience, might feel a bit overwhelming for you.
You might like leave home, the runaway type of energy of like going somewhere new and alone, the lone warrior, Mars, leaving, packing their bags in the night,
Hmm.
never to be seen again, off to a distant land.
Or like knowledge is never enough. It's always
Yeah.
just a feeling of needing to know more and for one way or another.
Yeah, I love that.
10th house, we said sixth house is like a hard worker too, so it was the first, but you know, 10th house Mars, your career is going to be pretty intense for you. I mean, there's gonna be an aspect of what you do for a living, if the MC is there, especially that has a feeling of pain in the assery. I mean, you might work a job you hate, where like you kind of have to work it. There might
Yeah.
be like a real overworking type of person, just feeling like you're forced to do this kind of. It's like, yeah. What would you say?
You might be the asshole boss, or you have an asshole boss with Mars in the 10th.
Right. Yeah, I I wasn't sure if I wanted to go there, but yeah, you're right. That's exactly it. Yeah. You're either asshole with Mars is like you have to remember that like if you have significant Mars placements, Mars is an asshole. Like there isn't like
There's levels of
being fucked.
assholery,
Yeah.
but that's what its job is to be hard and harsh and challenging. Like like wherever Mars is in the chart, it's like, yes, strife and all these things that we were talking about, but it's also like the rebel or the badass. Like it wants to be the badass in that sector of the chart or
Yeah.
something. And so like if it's the 10th that's oriented towards career and like reputation, like you want to be a hard ass potentially, depending on the sign, or the best at whatever that sign is gonna be like elusive to.
You're either being fucked or being the one fucking.
Yeah.
Which
We should do
usually,
bleeps over all this like
right,
every
yeah.
time.
It's either you're the one that you had to have experienced what it's like to be bleeped, or and then in turn
Game
wanting to,
recognizes game is
yeah,
what we're saying.
exactly, yeah.
But the Mars
So,
version. So it's like what you're saying.
right.
I love
Mars in the
it.
11th, perfect for you. Tell
Uh-huh.
me, this
Ah.
is your therapy session.
I know, my turn. Okay,
Yeah.
so Mars in the 11th, you can guarantee group drama potentially, being hated and being loved simultaneously. Just kidding. But not really. Groups, you might have trouble fitting in with large groups or feel like you don't fit in. You're like in search of being accepted by you know, a community of people that you want to resonate with and stuff like that. So, or you might be exiled, you might be in a group and then cut out. It was funny earlier in this when you were saying think of the why. You said it so beautifully. I don't want to botch it, but you were like, while we're going through all these, think of the why you feel anger towards
Mm,
that. And
right.
like it's so funny because like when I became an astrologer, I felt like so nervous to become part of that. You know what I mean? Because of
Mm,
like childhood, like literal childhood trauma, like elementary school. But I was like, oh, I don't feel anger towards like astrology community or anything, but I think it's like it was a scary thing to know I was going to be part of something almost because I've felt the burn of like being casted out and stuff. So just fun therapy, you know. But
yeah.
Mars in the 12th. I'm just kidding.
We'll
You can
go,
say
we'll go.
whatever.
But there's some
Okay.
stuff I want to say. We'll talk after, if we have time.
Okay.
Or whatever. But Mars in the 12th. So this is there could be a struggle to I'm not gonna say get things done. It might feel like things just won't work out the way you want them to, as though there's always something out there that's out to get you to some point. Like with
Mm,
Mars and 12, there's hidden enemies, there's things working behind the scenes that are affecting you negatively that you might not really be fully aware about. This could be like not getting a job promotion because another coworker was conniving behind you and spreading lies, something
yeah.
like that. This could also be like, I know we talked about it in the six, but there could be like hidden elements going on with you that are affecting you that you might not really fully realize that are impacting you, like mold exposure or something,
Yeah.
um, you know, going on around you that you're not aware of. This also be a lot of pent up anger that if you have Mars in the 12th, there's a good practice of breath work or
Mm,
anything where you can tap into the subconscious that would be great for releasing any pent-up traumas because this is kind of like the not the garbage pail of the zodiac, the 12th, but in a way we're storing all of our unwanted traumas and unwanted memories in the 12th
yeah.
as sort of just set it and forget it. So when you have Mars there, you often have a lot of repressed anger that you might not be aware of due to repressing it at a young age. So and dreams, if you have intense dreams at
Yeah.
night or anything that are keeping you from feeling stable, it's probably due to that Mars in the 12. So I'll do a lot of breath work and anything to get into your subconscious to let that out.
Absolutely. That's a great recommendation. And I think it's important just because it is like the wheels the house that gets most dumping ground, where in like the mental sense, but the sixth house is just the physical dumping ground almost, like that you have control over in a physical way. You can either do the things or not. But with the 12th, it's more internal and more psychological. And so getting into a being able to exert the mental in a physical way, like you're saying with the breath work. I would even recommend like doing something physical, punch a punching bag, go to the gym, like get get the bad thoughts out via something physical. It can never really do too much harm. Um, yeah,
Well said.
Mars needs a purpose. That's what I was going to say too. And when it's in the 12th, it can be confusing. What am I fighting for? You know.
Mars needs a purpose. Spitting today, Sam. Oh my God, I love that. Mars needs a purpose. Holy crap, Mars needs a purpose. I love that. Yeah, that's like beautiful. That's wonderful. Wow.
And I think like, even for you folks with Mars in the fourth, Mars in the sixth, like eighth, like those harder houses, it's not going to be even the second too. Like all that, like it might not be super obvious to the native experiencing their natal Mars placement in any of those houses because it's like hard to see.
Well, yeah, mine's also combust, so it's
Yeah, that
so
too. Yeah.
that's
You're
true.
like, this is who I am. Moving on to Saturn, what do we have to say about the old one, the old dark one,
Old
far away
smelly one,
one?
the fart box Saturn. Um,
I
what do
love
we have to
him.
say? What do we have to say about him? So he's old, he's smelly, he stinks, he makes you do things you don't want to do.
He
That's
eats babies.
he eats babies.
No,
Yeah,
Saturn is the greater malefic, and he's slow. He's the opposite of Mars. He's slow. He's old. He's not sprightly. He's not passionate. If he's passionate about anything, it's like disdain, maybe, and scrutiny and judgment about being all the Mars virtues.
yeah.
Slow.
Saturn.
slowness,
Yeah,
pace.
this is the slow game. So
Yeah.
Saturn's out there, Mars is in here.
Hmm.
And so what we're looking at is like a real slow pace throughout our cycles, like what we mentioned earlier. So the lessons that we're learning are inherently going to feel slower, heavier, melancholic, weighty.
Melancholic, yes.
Yes, melancholy is massive for Saturn, at least for me.
No, I
Boo.
mean it is
Boo.
the true adjective for Saturn is melancholy. Because it just, yeah, it's sad, it's often alone, it's the great gatekeeper, Saturn is the most far away planet in our solar system. So it's been labeled like the watcher, the gatekeeper, all these things. And there's often, if you have, oh, and also if you have a day chart, Saturn is going to be more, it's like going to be bestow the same lessons if you have a night chart, but it's going to be like more well received if you have a day chart. It is like the daytime malefic.
Yeah.
And so lessons that bestow upon you will just be like more well received and you'll have like a better understanding of them and the why of it all, supposedly. Supposedly. Um, but yeah, Saturn, I think there is a grumpiness with people with heavy Saturn placements in my experience. And as one, I have a
Saturn,
Saturn. I'm sorry, Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn in like heavy placements, meaning on an angle and in domicile. So
yeah, if Saturn's like real prominent in your chart to some capacity, obviously these things are going to affect you more. And to touch on what we spoke about earlier with Mars, same concept is that you have to actually experience things for
mm,
those feelings to show up in your life. But these things that show up with Saturn in comparison to Mars aren't going to be necessarily painful, where it's like, oh man, that one, like, oh, this is killing me inside. This is going to be more of those things like, why is this happening to me? How are these things? Why can't I seem to do anything? Or every time I try, I'm failing. And it's just like you're giving up. It's that type of general feel of like not immediate, but these are buildups that compound, and that gives you that Saturnian feeling of weight. Like depression with
mm,
Saturn is kind of like you can't get depressed like a blink of an eye. Like it takes time for things to squeeze together and to mold into something, which can be said for the opposite of Saturn, which is often said to be one of the most rewarding planets. In the
yeah,
fact that if you're able to kind of do the Saturnian long-term game, Saturn will reward you, but Mars is like you're gonna have this feeling of like we were saying, purpose and needing to have a drive towards something to do it. With Saturn, it's more like I had the job for 30 years and I'm the boss type of,
yeah,
that's the reward of Saturn versus in Mars, it's I'm working really hard on something and I got it done like really
yeah.
quickly. I was able to accomplish it.
No,
So
totally. Yeah.
yeah, when we're looking at Saturn, we're really looking at things that feel heavier, slower, more methodical. Not in the way of Scorpio of like planning things out. Yeah, but the difference in how we're planning things out is more not from a sense of wanting to get back or urgency per se. With Saturn, it's like we have to actually build a house to live in out of necessity. So there's a lot
Yes,
of
yes, yes.
poverty and feelings of doing the things that you need rather than the things you want,
Hmm.
which is a good differential between the two, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap of significations, like, but ultimately, I think the difference being too is Saturn is not emotional. Like things with Saturn, like as opposed to Scorpio, they're out of function and structure and fact, not any like the opposite of emotion. Like buildings don't have emotion, architecture doesn't have emotion. Um, yeah, so that being a key difference there, but there are a lot of seeming overlapping
Yeah.
um things with the slowness and what have you, but it's happiness granted through responsibility being fulfilled and like hard work, and all the things.
Okay. So happiness through achievement of things over the long haul. The
Hmm.
idea of concept of what happiness brings to your life and its correlation to the things that you desire, like that Saturn brings to you. Once you achieve those things and you feel happiness and fulfillment from those things, it's kind of like, why did I have those feelings of fulfillment in the first place? Like, why is it that I felt like I needed to, I'll say, use me for example. I have the sun with Saturn together. Why is it that I felt like I needed to put myself together for so long? I'm actually, I'm just existing and that's perfect as is. Like, it takes a long time to, no, I'm not saying that in like a, in that way, but like I'm talking in like a
No,
spiritual
no, no.
sense.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah. So it's like, Sun Saturn. It's like, why did I work so hard on myself? And why do I feel like I need to put myself to be this grand thing just to feel okay, right? Because Saturn
yeah,
brings this melancholy. It's like you need to do something with yourself. And once you actually feel like you did do something with yourself, then you feel happiness and fulfillment. But once you actually do it and like you feel good about it, it's kind of like, oh, but like that was kind of pointless. Like why did I put so much energy into that, you know? But part of the life story that we're in, Saturn brings a huge component to that. Everyone talks about the Saturn returns.
yeah.
They are massive turning points in people's lives. And what's important to realize that Saturn plays this undercurrent role because it's so slow in the formation and building of your life and what it shapes to be. In order to bring some sense of awareness to that, we have to actually answer to Saturn's demands. And if you don't, you're going to then feel depressive, whatnot. So, a little example, say like today, right? We're recording. Prior to this, there were things I was like working on that I didn't necessarily care about, but I wanted to do them. And so I kept pushing back because I wasn't done. I wasn't done.
Hmm.
And afterwards, it was feeling of like, oh man, why did I do those things? Like, what was the point of that? And that feeling of Saturn being like, you need to be responsible, do the things you gotta do, provides a sense of fulfillment to me, which in a way is phantom, but that's a different discussion. But
No, I resonate with that on a soul level. That is so funny that yeah, it's like you almost just want to feel the relief. You want the Saturn box checked in the background of your mind so you can like actually enjoy yourself because you did like what you needed to do responsibility wise, and then you can have fun or something because good things come to those who wait. That's Saturn's MO. And you were mentioning your sun Saturn conjunction. It is also worth mentioning that because Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius, and they are sequential to one another in the zodiac, and they oppose the sun and moon ruled signs of Leo and Cancer. So not only does like Saturn like not have a way with the emotional bend of the moon, it also doesn't really like the light of the sun and identity. It is devout to darkness, but like also like the material and structural and like responsibility and things that usually are very contrary to like the identity part of that opposition to Leo. It's very non-personal Saturn emotionally and like identity orient identity wise, sorry. But yeah.
yeah, I agree with that. It's hard to put a container around the sun, you know?
Yeah, you
So
can't. Yeah.
yeah, it's
That's
like
why it says Saturn's as far away as possible
right.
from the sun.
So, anything else we want to say before we go through the houses? Because I think we have the main concept in mind. Is there anything that we missed? I guess we can talk a little bit about, well, Saturn's exalted in Libra.
Oh
It's,
yeah. Hmm.
yeah, it's in,
Yeah.
its home sign, like you mentioned, is Capricorn and Aquarius. So, Saturn and Capricorn, these are like your by the book type of people. I mean, these are some of the most grounded, materialistic, or like this is reality and that's it type of people. Um, Saturn and Aquarius, these are people who actually you tell me about
Oh
Saturn.
yeah, I was gonna say they're very I think that's where I kind of use the quality check of Aquarius and Saturn and Aquarius is all about quality and like but with that comes scrutiny to an excess. Like it is like a domicile placement. But it is Saturn and it's heavy and it is like dad, granddad energy type of feelings of like the like trope of like, I'm so disappointed in you. Like you're doing that a lot if you have a Saturn in domicile,
Yeah. I was able
whether
to,
it be within yourself or others.
once I learned about Aquarius being the person who, the water bearer who leaves the town to bring back,
Yes.
that's when a Saturn in Aquarius just made so much sense to me. Because it's
Yeah.
this lessons that you're bringing back and this
Hmm.
feeling of this is what you should be doing based on the
Yeah.
experiences I have. Here's what how to do with it. And that can lead to a lot of scrutiny because it's like, what do you know? You left us for 10 years, you abandoned us. What do you know about whatever, wherever the placement is? And it's like, no, but I do.
Yeah.
Listen to
No.
me. It's like that type of thing.
I'm so happy you brought this up. This is literally like one of my favorite. I can't believe I haven't said it already, but like I always think of Capricorn being the plant. Like think of Saturn. Capricorn's the ball inside, and then Aquarius is the rings. And it's like outside. What can I bring back over those rings and into the center? Blending the old with the new because I have known this life. I've seen what else can be done. And now I'm here to like show you, not like show you how, but like these are the opportunities that we can, these are what we can build moving forward and stuff like that. But so Capricorn being very much so oriented towards the past, and then Aquarius knowing the past, but looking to the future to create a new.
Yep. Kind of like the hardware for a computer and it
Mhm.
needing to be structured and built, but like the internet being such a necessity, there
Yeah.
has to be form to the internet that we don't even
Yeah.
really see because we're not in it.
Yeah.
Hard to see it when you're not in it.
Yeah.
And the internet bringing the component to the
Yeah.
what a great damn, it's
Yeah.
good. Good stuff. So
Love
let's
it.
keep the houses.
Yay. Yeah. Saturn in the first. So, depending on whatever sign, this will color it a little differently. But when we go through the houses, you can kind of see how and where in the life Saturn might manifest. So, if you have Saturn in the first, you yourself might be thin, kind of lacking a certain, not like with Mars, like super built kind of people. You find like very thin, maybe pale, very goth looking people, but maybe just very serious people, very stoic looking people.
Yeah, the malnourishment quality.
The
As in,
malnourishment.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Second house, there's a restriction on finances. So there's a feeling as though perhaps unworthiness to spend or an
Yeah.
incapac like you just don't want to spend. So there's a lot of discipline associated with your finances, where like you might want to contain it for yourself, where like I don't want to do anything with this stuff, or you're kind of like it's just a real, which more often than not, it's a struggle to obtain finances, which usually leads to a feeling of unworthiness to then receive,
Yeah.
because that poverty, that feeling of scarcity mentality
Lack.
or
Yeah.
lack that you feel feels it
Yeah.
makes you feel as though you're unable to obtain, which leads
Hmm.
to,
That can almost have like a shame in how you can fit in and what have you. Um, yeah, that's really good. Frugality too is what I was gonna say.
yes, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, frugal or just like literally not having it. You're
Yeah.
just like because you're frugal because you know what it's like to not have it.
Yeah, the scarcity factor is just 1000% written all over that.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean you're going to be like that forever or anything. There's just work. I honestly, it may just take time to make money in a way that is long term stable and stuff like that.
I agree.
Third house Saturn, lack of movement, stiffness,
No dancing, no jazz hands,
zero
no
dancing
trumpets,
happen.
stiff as a board.
Yeah. Statue comes to mind. The word
Tap shoes?
statue,
Oh,
a
they said tap
statue.
shoes because when I was
No.
younger, I actually did tap shoe. I moved in the thirds, and my mother put me in
I
tap dancing
love
class.
that. I need
Little
video
thing.
and photos
No, you're not
immediately.
gonna get it. You're not gonna get it. But
I will find your mother on the internet. I will ask her. That's
sorry,
amazing.
what was the
That's
last thing?
amazing. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
you have
I'm trying to
Aquarius.
gloss over it. I'm trying to gloss over
Okay, sorry, sorry.
it.
Okay, cut. Just kidding. Moon in the third, you might
Wait,
see.
Moon? No, not Moon,
I'm sorry.
Saturn. Yeah, you're stuck on the tap dancing. You're stuck. Maybe after I'll do a little jig after this.
Oh my God, so cute.
Got it.
Um, you might okay, so going back to my honest to goodness, the third house having so much to do with movement, these people might be dancers, but they might be ballerinas, which is a insanely Saturnine art form. It is so much to do with the bones and the skeletal system of our bodies to be able to point your foot as like hard, stiff as you can to be able to balance on your toes. It's a very interesting like it is a very Saturnine thing. Met with Venus, obviously, because it's dance, but I feel like you could see some ballerinas with Saturn in the third.
Yeah, I seen someone with Mars, Saturn in the third, and they were like talking about how intense ballerina is in their life and how they can never let it go. And it's like their whole entire lives is about being a ballerina.
Are you serious? I love
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
amazing. I've
yeah.
never met a real ballerina like with a Saturn third house, but that's awesome to know that there's one out there. I was also gonna say maybe you write serious stuff, like third house being kind of you know, it can be like whereas like ninth house is like publishing things and stuff, like for the big works of knowledge and stuff. Like maybe you're like very serious about like smaller
Smaller
helpful to
projects. Yeah.
yeah, smaller projects. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also siblings, maybe
Yeah.
not getting along with siblings the way that you might wish, or like your neighborhood not liking where you're from. It's pretty common with Saturn in the third.
Yeah, not having an appreciation for your neighborhood or your immediate surroundings, maybe until later, even, or not getting along with your siblings until later. Or maybe you have or are the older sibling and there's like an age gap between you.
Yeah.
That's significant.
Saturn in the fourth, feeling as though, well, I say feeling because I have Pisces, but
Yeah.
Saturn in the fourth, there might be delays in getting a home. There might
Yeah.
be, you might do property development. You might be someone who is really into building foundational whatever. It's like
Yeah.
you want to create or do something related to your past. You might be really into lineage. Uh, Saturn the fourth, the poverty aspect is clear. When you have Saturn the fourth, this is an aspect of like feeling of lack that you then have to build to get is pretty common. A restriction about, a lot of feeling as though what you necessarily want to do, there's a wall that prevents you from doing it. And it's
Hmm.
like the melancholic quality of like, I'm not good enough. It's like, you're not good enough, trying to get out of that wall that
Yeah.
the fourth house contains putting in. It's one of the
Like the
anchor.
generational wall that your ancestors all built,
Exactly.
feeling that way.
Yeah, very deeply rooted, if you have the
Yeah.
IC in the fourth. So there's definitely, you might be delays in having your own family to some
Yeah.
component. So that's the other thing with Saturn. You expect delays in whatever it is because we're talking about the soul cycles. Um, Saturn in the fifth.
Saturn in the fifth, there's restrictions on fun, but that is like almost like maybe fun for the person with Saturn in the fifth, like parameters to the fun.
Right.
Um, and maybe the delay factor is honestly such a good point for all of these delineations because there might be just you maybe you don't find your outlet in life until later. Maybe you don't have kids until later, things of this nature. Maybe there's a restraint that you weren't able to do so earlier on in life. So,
Right. Yeah. A feeling of like what, when it comes to creativity, what you're able to feel and express,
yeah,
you might not feel worthy of that. And so
yeah,
there's a lot of shame with the fifth.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Also, like, yeah, no, I think that's good. Saturn in the sixth, you're very serious about routine and habits, maybe.
Yeah.
Brushing your teeth is very crucial for these individuals to make them last.
Right. There's a good amount of discipline, which could be at a excess. Yeah, Saturn in the sixth. This is
Honestly,
interesting.
dieting might be something this person or like a native would be super into. Like, not like like the like fasting element of like restraining against like nourishment and
Right.
yeah, that
Yeah.
sense.
This also could be like long-term health problems.
Yeah.
These are things that you might not be able to get a control over your weight, for example, until you realize that you need to completely change your diet because you've been
Yeah.
trying to hoard food, because you feel like you need to hold on to it. Like
Yeah.
so, yeah, definitely see like real hard workers in the sixth, but not in like a Mars way where it's like you're able to get shit done. It's kind of like the guy who's just always around working,
Yeah.
kind of like
Like
impressive.
too busy with work. Like so like almost like I don't know how to articulate this, but like someone who's like wrapped up in the bullshit of work to like not like so wrapped up in the bullshit of working to not live life almost. Like there's
Yeah.
like this like cycle of just being absorbed into that little dark space of the life that is the sixth, the burdens of the sixth.
Yeah, this could be like a really, I could imagine this being almost like AD, not ADHD, but just someone who needs to have a really particular home, have it,
OCD.
yeah,
Yeah.
OCD would be better, like
Yeah.
OCD type of person.
Controlling it. Yeah.
Yeah, wanting things a
Totally.
particular way for XYZ feeling and whatnot.
I feel like
Saturn,
that goes with the fourth really quickly, just to backtrack. I feel like there's like a privacy with that like overlap. Like obviously a Scorpio fourth has to be super private about their like home life, but like Saturn in the fourth, I think would kind of have a similar vibe to that. You don't get
right.
to know what
Yes.
boundaried out. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of boundaries around
Yeah.
family and what's allowed in, what's not allowed in.
Yeah.
It's like a passageway, like the gate
Yeah.
needing to
Yeah.
be open. That's a good point. We didn't really talk about Mars having that quality of protection either, did we? I don't think we really said much
I
on
don't
that,
think we
but
did, but I was
yeah.
saying warrior, but if I hope, yeah, we could state it now. Like warriors are ultimately a protector, right? In
Yeah.
their highest form. But yeah. So like Mars is like willful protection, like I'm gonna fight the bad guy, whereas Saturn like just is like putting that wall up, so not even to let the bad guy even have a chance of getting in. Like
Mm,
haha, like the structure is so high, you're never gonna make the jump over
good
this
point.
fence.
Good point. Good point.
We have
Saturn seven.
cameras. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Saturn in the seventh, yeah. So you might have a hard time in your long-term partnerships with allowing people in if you have Saturn in the seventh. And you might feel like that you like people can often find these natives like cold or distant and, you know, hard to reach, even in like intimate relationships.
Mm, yeah, that's well said. There's a feeling of when Saturn's in the seventh, there's a feeling of boundaries when it comes to other people that you kind of have to take some time to get through to the core.
Yes.
It takes some
There's also
time.
definitely.
What were you gonna say?
Sorry. Oh, sorry. You finish your point.
No, go
Sorry.
ahead. Go.
I was gonna say there's yeah, just like time, it takes time to get through to that core of the individual. It's not like Mars in the seventh where it's like that fast game. Like these
Mm,
individuals and I think are like looking for that quality versus quantity factor. But also if you have Saturn in the seventh, it's always going to be opposing your first. And so there's also like that self-inflicted kind of scrutiny and judgment of not only others, you're definitely finding these people putting that judgment and that heaviness on themselves as well.
yeah, well said. That's well said. There's something else I wanted to say, but I blanked on it. Oh, the committed quality, in
Yeah.
the seventh is like once you have something that you know you want, you're gonna hold on, you're gonna try and hold on to it as long
Yes.
as you can. But that also means that there's a feeling of like needing to hold on to something. Um, and going back into like what is it about this that makes me want to hold on so tightly?
Oh
Why is it that I
yeah.
feel like I want to feel that safety? That Saturn can bring safety, but it's going to be like I'm not going to say false sense of safety. It's going to be a feeling of like you're protected, but under my will. And it's like, why do I
Yeah.
feel like the need to do those things, yeah. So Saturn the 8th.
Really quickly, just to not so much so about the seventh, but just with Saturn overall, like Saturn is often tr- Saturn's like MO and like the way it shows its love, if Saturn showed love, it would be like through trying to avoid a bad outcome. Like whereas like Mars is the bad outcome or like the
Mm,
projection of something, like
distant.
Saturn's the absence of, yeah, like
Yeah.
bullshit, I guess.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you might not necessarily want to face those feelings because you know the feelings that they bring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Which,
But so yeah.
yeah, let's not go down that route more
Yeah.
because we could spend 30 minutes talking
Yeah,
about
of
that.
course. So,
Yeah, I
Saturn in
really
the
like that.
eighth.
Yes. Saturn the 8th. I mean, this is clearly debt problems to some extent,
Hmm.
wanting, having problems with you want what other people have, not in a sense of demanding it or willfully grabbing it with passion, and rushing into it, but instead just being like, yeah, I'm gonna rack up a bunch of debt, and it's because I feel like I need what that person has
The lack
to
there, yeah.
right to feel like I actually can feel safe in that,
Yeah.
constantly trying to grab and wishing for more and using others to try and get that from them.
And maybe even on a literal delineation sense, like so much yes to what you just said, but like maybe you like inherit either resources from someone who's like passed on, like a fan, like others' resources, or maybe you've because you can inherit debt,
Right. Yeah.
maybe you have like stuff like that happening.
Yeah. Death is a big part of the
Yeah.
eight. So there could be significant deaths that you've experienced that stood with you. And so, you might fear dying. You might fear old age. You might
Yeah.
really, the things that are outside of yourself, time and with Saturn the 8th is like, what's coming for me? And I don't want anything to do with it because I know that it could be gone in a second, I know some people with
Wow.
Saturn the 8th that
Yeah.
experience direct death experiences, and it lingers on for them, and it's like a constant fear of like losing the life force on what other people have is like what's something other people have, it's life, that's part of our
Yeah.
existence, and the existence of that being gone means that you want to hold on to living as much as you can.
Oh my God, you're like taking my breath away. I'm like, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So well said. Oh, I'm recovering. Okay. That was amazing. The
Saturn and
midlife crisis, Saturn transiting the eighth.
oh
I
yeah,
need
oh
you.
my God, yes, yes, yes. Oh, trigger alert.
Speaking,
Sorry about
not
that.
not speaking from experience right now or anything,
Oh
but
yeah, forgot about that part. Oh.
but that was so good. Oh my God. Well, so if life is if we're talking about like the eighth house resources, Saturn moving on to the ninth, Saturn in the ninth, you find I feel like there's a seriousness of purposeness here. There's like the person that has achieved like the top like sect of whatever like religion, like priestliness and stuff like that. Saturn is the formality of religion and higher education. I mean, literally, graduation caps are the square because of
Mm,
Saturn, and you wear
mm.
black at your graduations because of Saturn.
I like that.
Um, yeah, there's like uh an initiatory quality with Saturn, like you've reached the top, come on in. And so like the ninth house being that philosophical, enlightened place, Saturn and that have much to do with one another signification wise.
It takes a lot of time to go through a full
Yeah.
program, have the doctorate, become a doctor, like real
Yeah.
master of the Saturn. It takes time.
Yeah.
Sometimes with Mars, like it's never enough, but with Saturn, it's like there's always more to have, and the more I get, the better and safer I'll feel type of
Hmm.
thing. Um, yeah, I mean, this is definitely, I don't want to say know-it-all in the ninth, but it's kind of like,
It's the certifications, like the
yeah.
on the walls, look at what I've
Hmm.
done. I'm an expert at my field because I
Right.
am steady and certain in my studies on this.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, well said. We'll leave it there. That was
Thank
good.
you.
Ninth Saturn, uh,
10 Saturn.
10 Saturn. Sorry.
No,
That's
you're
like,
good.
I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, I keep like glazing what you're saying. It's like, you're killing it today. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, whatever. Saturn in the 10th.
You are
Um,
known for the certifications hanging on your wall that you studied. You become known for that, maybe.
right. Right. And that can have a real like coldness when like you get to know someone like that. It's like, okay, yeah, awesome. Like you're all gonna hold on to that your whole life. It's like, yeah.
It's their identity at that point, like
Right.
their reputation, and they're very serious about it. And like that is like a huge, heavy boss placement, I'd imagine. Like it's going to
Mm.
take time to get there, but Saturn in the 10th, of course, depending on the sign, like you will maybe mature very securely within that role that you've been working at and striving for.
Yeah, there's gonna be delays. It's gonna take some time to find a career that you really enjoy or love. But once you get there, I would imagine that you play a real serious role,
Yeah.
career-wise. Um, I used to
Really
play.
quickly. Oh, sorry. Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
No, no, okay. I was gonna say, and like when you said you might find
Oh, sorry. I thought
it.
you were pausing.
Oh
My
no,
bad. Okay,
no,
go
no.
ahead. Go. Go ahead. Go. Go.
You James just said you said it might take a little while to find that career that you
Yeah.
enjoy doing or really love. But like those are when we say that, think of it as like the Saturn form of enjoy and love. It looks different than
Hmm.
like, there's gonna be like when even though we're saying joy or fun and enjoyment, like it's a Saturn twist on it, which means like you get something out of it
Fulfillment.
that is like maturely, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
should use my words a little more careful.
Oh
It's
no,
like,
no, no. It's just it's true. Like
yeah,
people will enjoy it, but it'll be like with that Saturn twist more than likely.
right. Yeah,
They don't
fulfillment.
often know that.
Yeah. When you
Even.
actually when you complete a full book series, by the end of it, you're feeling pretty nice about it because you know the work you put in. But to like to kind of get there takes some time,
Yeah,
obviously. So
exactly.
yeah. Saturn in the 10th. Is there anything else that I want to say about that? I'm really
You were gonna do an aside of a story maybe in if you remember.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's not really too relevant, but I used to play a game where I would flip my chart and imagine what my
Oh,
life would be like if I had Saturn in the 10th and like my stellium in there. And it was like I kind of imagined that my life, like there would be roles given to me that I might not necessarily want early.
to oh, that's such a good point. And yes, and I often love to use this chart as an example of Saturn in the 10th, but like a lot of I forget which royal family member it is, but I think two of them have Saturn in the 10th
Mm.
in like a Jupiter ruled sign. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm like, yeah, that's like literally your reputation just being innately heavy and like you don't have the choice. You're bound to it. You're a
Mhm.
royal family member. Sorry.
Saturn the 11th.
Yeah.
So, um,
So the Saturn in the 11th, I would imagine these individuals would be very serious about their groups that they are in and identify with. And they either, would you say it's more maybe like outcasty than Mars or less in the 11th?
Uh, the 11th, sometimes a pain in the ass is fun to be around.
Yeah,
Like there's always the bully that has its clique, the bully's always like
totally.
has this group
Yeah.
of assholes with them that is kind of like roughhousing people. That'd be more like Mars. Whereas Saturn could be like that loner who just doesn't quite fit in with the people around them. That they they want those things externally, but they feel like they can't have it per se, or there might be just delays in finding a friend group that you really fit in with. it won't be martial in the sense that, you're not necessarily getting poked and prodded at and bullied at directly, but you do feel the sense of like, why won't anyone accept me? Why doesn't anyone sit with me at the lunch table? Is there something wrong with me? But if you think about it, it's like, sometimes it takes a little bit of oomph to meet new friends and to socialize and build an audience with people and connect with others. And when Saturn's there, there's like this feeling of like, I'm not able to do that for external reasons, depending on the rest of the chart. And so I'm going to withhold myself and feel sorry for myself. And that's going to cause me not to try and build connections with people early on.
So good. I'm having another therapy moment over here because of what you just said. But yeah, Mars being, it just like clicked. I'm like, Mars is the outcast that like that gave people a reason almost to become outcasted because
Mhm.
of like that. But then like Saturn is like Saturn in the 11th is like observing the group to make sure it's like good enough to become part of. And so it might be like the person in the corner listening to headphones just kind of like pretending to not like observe, but like it's it's quality checking the groups that it
Yeah. Or
before
they
it becomes.
literally are trying to prevent themselves from feeling
Yeah.
around other
Yeah.
people. It's like, I'm just gonna be the outsider so that no one actually accept me because I don't even
Ex-
accept myself.
I won't become the outcast because I won't even give them the opportunity to do
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This
great.
could be good to like event coordinators and stuff too, like playing that outside role to
Totally.
build structures and create things that, you might not be front and center or be the person working people, but
Yeah.
you're still creating form um
God,
behind the
that's a good
scenes
point.
almost, which 12th house behind the scenes, Saturn's joy in the 12th.
Yes,
Um,
isolation place.
yeah, isolation on isolation on isolation, spiraling to some extent with Saturn in
Yeah.
the 12th. Um, I kind of like this being almost a rite of passage. I don't know that I don't know what it is about that makes me feel that way, but with Saturn in the 12th, I feel like you sort of need to know the deepest part of yourselves in a way that takes mastery. And part of that rite of passage is like, you know, yeah, you want to be careful not to be alone for too long because the feelings will really start to weigh in on you. But how do you meet your enemy? You face it one on one,
Totally.
but that takes time to get there. I mean, we're talking down the road. If you're young and you have Saturn in the 12th, it's like, yeah, you need to like go out and socialize and connect to those because those feelings of heaviness are just innately part of your subconscious. So you're going to be feeling this weight and not really knowing why, and feeling this isolation in your life. How do you actually resolve those things? You meet your enemy and you're able to sort of go one on one with that darkness, doing so long and slow, because if you were to do it like Marshall with breath work, you're facing it head on. You're like boom, able to release it with Mars in the 12th. But with Saturn, it's like this is where like episodes could really start
Mhm.
to not psychotic episodes, but like schizophrenia and what's
Yeah.
psychosis. Like so
Mhm.
psychosis can easily happen if you open up your traumas way too soon.
Yeah.
So there's a long journey with dealing with uh, issues psychologically. I
Hmm.
know I'm kind of going down that route, but there's other
It's
ways
very
to
much on
describe.
theme though with this placement, so it's not totally wrong. But I think going back to your feelings of it being the rite of um passage, I think if you can master sitting alone with yourself, with that placement, if you can master that, it is like nothing can really get you down after that. And so it might take a lifetime, but you know,
Yeah,
I won't go into it, but it seems like a karmically bound placement as well.
yeah,
Any malefic in the any planet, even in the 12th.
yeah. Saturn does its job really well there. So
Yeah.
definitely hard to experience, but I mean, th those people, I'm sure there's a lot of mastery that goes unacknowledged, but
Yeah.
that journey to experience it is a story worth telling. But the thing with astrology sometimes is, tough placements. When we're talking about the malefics, it would be a shame to not mention the fact to some of the more by the book astrologers that will talk about the fated quality of some lives simply just never get there.
Hmm.
Some lives simply deal with the pain and struggle and it overcomes them, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things we're talking about with these malefics that, you know, have a lot of associations with like, you know, things getting better on the other side. But for some people, you know, they just never get there, which I think
Yeah.
would be important to mention. Because it's important to sort of like, I know it's kind of rift, but it's important to kind of like give a little bit of positivity or possibility when talking about these things because it's very easy to get stuck in that pattern of like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me?
Totally. That fear zone.
Yeah, and the more we're able to kind of like reach those people to give them a little bit of sense of hope and purpose, because Saturn, we could be talking about real, especially with the 12th, is like real feelings of unworthiness, shame,
Hmm.
melancholy, and depression that might seem impossible to get your hands around.
Yeah.
Um, so, and like fears and all these other things. So, yeah, with any malefic, I think it's important that we just really keep in mind that if we just give ourselves a little bit of effort in ourselves, we can start to
Yeah.
actually utilize this energy for the better.
That's beautiful. I think that's a perfect place to kind of polish off this talk is because like the malefics really are just asking you for effort, for better or for worse. Very, life is going to happen. But when you work on your malefic and like the malefics in your chart and you know how and the why and what you can have a better sense of what to do and how to handle them, even when it's like outside of you and externally inflicted.
Well said. I think it's a good place to
Thanks.
wrap it up.
I think so too. This
Cool.
was it's so funny our voices have like gone
I
saturnine, I feel like a
know, I
tiny
know, I
bit.
know, I know. I realized it before. As soon as you start talking,
We
it
were all,
comes so slow. That's why I was like, oh my God, where is
I
this?
was like, am I tripping? Is this
Yeah, no, I
happening?
felt that too. I felt that too.
James
Felt
and I
that too.
also have Saturn ruled moons, so we are very up and personal with the Saturn energy. It's like our baseline, maybe
Yeah.
even at times. But
Right.
but anyway, James, where can people find more about you?
If you want to book a reading with me, you can go to jamespipitone.com. I'm running some beginning specials if you wanted
Ooh,
to get in. Otherwise, you can find me at James underscore Pipitone on Instagram. And on YouTube, you could find me at James dash Pipitone. What about you, Sam?
that's awesome. And we'll be sure to leave all your links down below. And I am most readily available for readings and all my offerings on SamanthaHammerAstrology.com. And on Instagram, you can find me under the same Samantha Hammer Astrology. And you can find more of us in the links down below. And yeah, thank you
All
so
right.
much for joining us.
Stay tuned for next episode where we talk about the benefics. I
That'll
won't be
be a
wear
fun one.
I won't wear red.
I know.
Where's
I'll wear green.
where's something
Yeah.
else?
You're wearing the perfect Malefic shirt. It's
Yeah.
perfect. I love it.
All
All
right, till
right.
next
Bye,
time.
guys.
See
Thank
you. Bye
you.
bye.